Hello everybody and welcome back. And the party are here outside Misha's Ferry Point, and we just got ambushed by a load of reavers from the Iron Ring and their maniacal hounds. Their hounds are these people who were once slaves but have been mentally damaged and have now become sort of berserkers. We were helped in no part by Stephen, who is our new retainer, and Stephen will be with us until the end of the adventure, so we might as well get to know him a bit better. Right, he's the brother of Piotr, it's been well established, and we're told after joining the adventurers at Zitaka, he will accompany them on their journey to the Lost Valley. His experiences at Zitaka make him obsessed with the desire to find the Lost Valley, and particularly to reach it before Golthar. I'm saying that his experiences of being tortured may have slightly broken his mind a bit, and that's where this obsession comes from. He's a fighter, level 5, gets a +1 hit and damage for his strength, and a +1 AC for his dex +1. He has 26 hit points, so he makes a very credible frontliner. He's currently wearing leather armour, and Carrick will say to him, "You won't get far in that, sonny, where we're going. If experience has told us anything, you'll need a tougher hide." And when we look over the bodies of the Iron Ring, there is one of them who is roughly Stephen's size, and he is wearing chainmail armour. When Donard got his shield +2, if you remember, he left his shield +1 in Sekuskin. Stephen is carrying that. We have also given him this sword +1 with the command word and the inscription that Liz decoded, and it said something like "reveal all." What exactly it does we don't know, but I'm sure we'll find out. So with his magical sword, his chainmail armour, his magical shield, he will make a credible frontliner going forward, as well as a reasonably good archer. We have in our company a troop of 14 white horses that we are taking to Rifillian, as this was the motivation to get this whole adventure started in the first place. Now Misha is nowhere to be found, and the party do not know her fate. We know she has a pet bear that sometimes lurks on either side of the river. The ferry itself isn't big enough to take everybody. It will take 3 shifts to get everybody across the river, and we will try to keep all the horses in some kind of enclosure in case the bear comes back and attacks them. So everybody crosses the river eventually, and it's the evening, so we might as well use up the Staff of Healing and our 2 Cure Light Wounds and our magical healing sword before we go to bed for the night and recharge everything. So let's roll for everybody. And Liz is back up to 21. Sylvia was on 12. She's now back up to 17. Donard was on 32, but then he does have 42. Oh, nice one. He's getting some really good dice rolls. He's up to 39. A Cure Light Wounds will see him do okay. Carrick is on 27. Right, he's on 30. He can have another Cure Light Wounds to top up. And Stephen is on 24. And since it's impossible to roll less than 2, he's back up to 26. Donard's Cure Light Wounds, Carrick Cure Light Wounds, and everybody is back up to the max. And we will recharge in Misha's Ferry Port inside the buildings overnight. We don't hear the bear, but we wake up the next day, and it is Grumdane the 5th of Yarthmont, and the weather is overcast, slightly rainy, cool and windy, which is oddly my kind of preferred weather. Now we don't go far from Misha's Ferry when Sylvia points towards the hills to the north and says, "Look," and there on the hills is a large black horse, surrounded by 3 other black horses. That's Loshad. He's keeping an eye on us. Well, more correctly, he is keeping an eye on our horses. We've done nothing wrong, and we've done a favour for Loshad. So we will continue on our way to here, and sure enough, Loshad reappears later in the day in centaur form and approaches us. He doesn't have any weapons drawn. In fact, he puts a hand up as a sign of peace. We let him approach. He's been fair to us in the past. We don't think he's going to attack. He explains the situation. And this is an encounter called Loshad Sighted, and he will tell us of this slavers' camp to the north. Loshad, when he approaches, he talks to the horses and asks them how things are and have they been well looked after. They have no complaints. He asks us where we taking these white horses. He isn't overly confrontational, but he makes it clear he will like an answer. We tell him they're going to Rifillian to live with the elves. He's moderately okay with that, as he knows the elves will look after the horses. He does say, "Stop, may I have a word with you?" And Loshad tells us, to the north there is a camp filled with evil, vile people. He cannot describe them as members of the Iron Ring, as he has little interest in the factions of humans and goblins. But he will tell us that there are humans enslaved in chains, and there are horses enslaved in chains as well, and both parties get whipped by their slave owners. The treatment of the horses has upset him greatly, and he expects that the treatment of the humans will upset us and in fact motivate us to do something. He has tried to do something, but there are far too many of them. Indeed, from the story that he tells, there's about 30 humans and about 15 goblins, and half of each are slaves and the other half are slave owners, so there's at least 20 or more bad guys. He has used his influence to try and make the horses wild, in the belief that this will annoy the slavers and set the horses free. This has not happened. In fact, all it has done is resulted in the horses getting whipped even harder, and he shakes his head sorrowfully at this. He can do no more. He has run out of ideas, and he asks us to help. He doesn't offer us anything for this help, but he does appeal to our better nature and the fact that there are humans that are enslaved. We will take him up on the offer. Now, the DM is told that this camp, even though it's marked here, can be placed anywhere on the map that suits the adventure, and we set off from Misha's Ferry about 7 in the morning. We're going at about 3 miles per hour, and each hex is 3 miles, so it's 1, 2, so it's about 10 in the morning when we see Loshad, and it'll take us to about 2 in the afternoon before we get to the camp. Are we going to raid this camp during the daytime or at night? We will guess that half the camp will be on watch and the other half will be asleep until it's time to keep watch. We'll make our way to the vicinity of the camp, and in fact we will make a pact with Loshad that we will try to rescue any of these enslaved horses and return them to him. If, in the meantime, he will look after our white horses, as we don't want to bring them anywhere close to these evil people. He can see the sense in that, and reluctantly, he agrees, but we will trust him to keep his word. Right, so let's see what happens in the afternoon. Right, it's about 2 in the afternoon, and the party make it to the edges of this Iron Ring camp. And it looks like this, and we are approaching from the south. Now we're going to prep ahead a bit, just to let you know there are 3 guards, here, here and here, and because it's during the daytime, the guards are human. The goblins are currently asleep, and I have placed the goblins here. They are sort of sheltering from the daytime sun on the north side of this rock. The other guards, the human slavers, are here, and this blue area is the human slaves and the horses and the goblin slaves. Of course, the party don't know any of this yet. What we'll do is we'll gather about here, and the scale of this map is 1 square is 20 feet. And we're going to prep with 3 spells. The spells we're going to prep with are Haste, which can be cast on 24 people. I have learned that. The other spell we're going to cast on who will get it will be Striking, and we'll cast that on Carrick. That lasts for 1 turn. Haste lasts for a long time, well, long enough for 1 fight, and the other spell we're going to cast is Bless. So I shall mark them off. So with Haste cast on Liz, she fails to sneak forward. Does she get surprise? Right, there is no surprise. She gets initiative. She's got 2 shots in 1 turn to try and kill this guard before things go wrong. This guard has an AC of 7. Well, her missile THACO is 14, and with the bless spell, she hits AC 6. She does 5 plus 3 damage, which is 8, so she fells that guard in 1 fell swoop. And that means everybody else can scurry up to here. We'll do as much archery as we can first. Let's see if Liz can sneak up to here. So that was 1 round. She throws a 62, which is good enough for move silently. What about her hide in shadows? Nah, she fails that. She throws a 98. Now she's got haste on. Does she get surprise? She doesn't. She's going to have to hurry back. The alarm has been sounded. She has been spotted. We're going to have to get our 3 frontliners to move up to here. We're going to have to get Liz, Sylvia and Malin to hang back. Malin will have cast his shield spell. Now the fight is on. That attempt at sneaking didn't work. So let's just run this as a normal combat. Round number 1. Who gets initiative? They get initiative. They have a cleric with them. Firstly, it's archery. These 2 will have to join the fight later. This one's dead. That leaves 5 humans with bows and arrows to shoot at. Well, they can really only see the 3 guys at the front, especially since Donard and Stephen are reasonably tall. 1 on each. The first one on Donard misses. The first one on Carrick misses. And Stephen, with his AC of 2, the one misses him. And we'll do 2 more. 1 on Donard, fumbles badly, and 1 on Stephen. Again misses. So that is their missile round. They have a spells round. They have a cleric who has got Cure Light Wounds, Darkness, Blight and Hold. And he's going to cast Hold Person. What is the range of Hold Person? It's got 180 feet. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, let's take in the 3 guys. Can Donard save versus spells? And I believe he can because of his... Yes, he can. He gets +3 because of his wisdom bonus. Carrick. Yes, he only needs a 10. And Stephen is a 5th level fighter, which means he needs a 14 or more. And he gets a 14. Okay, right. That Hold Person, we shrugged that off. And it's their melee round. And they have 2 main fighters. One is a reaver called Sindor, and one is a bugbear called Sigagast. And they move up to here. Actually, they cannot attack because their movement rate would only take them to about here. So they're not quite within range. So that is their round. Our round, we have a missile fire, and we have 2 archers who have 2 rounds each. Liz is going to try and take out their archers, and she hits 1 for 4 points, and she has a 2nd attack, and she kills it. Sylvia, she hits and kills 1 outright, so her 2nd attack, right, with +2 under that, she hits AC 4 and she does 1 plus 2 damage, so one of them is down to 3 HP. We have 3 melee guys and each of them have 2 rounds, and Carrick has striking. So let's do Carrick on Sindor the Reaver. I am so going to enjoy this. Please, dwarf, do not let me down. Look at how many dice I'm throwing here. Right. There's a bless spell on him, so he throws a 4. Yes, he easily misses. This guy has an AC of 4. He hits with this, and he does 11 plus 4 damage is 15, plus 4 is 19, plus a bless spell on both of those is 21. And he takes this Reaver from 25 down to 4 HP. Let's do Donard on the Bugbear. And he fumbles with both attacks. You know, we often look at Sylvia as the one who can't hit, but when it comes to a good old-fashioned fumble, you can't beat our Cleric. And then we have Stephen, who gets a +3 onto all of these. He gets a strength bonus, a sword +1, and a bless spell. And he attacks twice, and he fumbles once. He throws a 9. His melee Thaco is 15. That's AC 6. He misses. God damn it. We didn't do a spells round. Malin is here, and he's going to cast Sleep on the goblins before they wake up. How many of them does he put to sleep? 9. That is enough to put them all to sleep. That leaves 1 point left over, but everybody else is well out of range. Okay, so the goblins are asleep. That was round number 1. Let's get on to round number 2. Let's throw for initiative. And they get initiative again. Let's do their archery round, and there's currently 5 of the hounds left. These other 2 have come running in, and they join the 3 that are remaining. So let's do what we did before. 1 on each of Donard, Carrick and Stephen. The 1 on Donard misses. The 1 on Carrick. Aha. They have a Thaco of 16. That hits the AC 0. Not good enough. The 1 on Stephen misses badly. And then 1 more on Stephen and Donard. That misses Stephen. And that misses Donard. Their spells round. Now their Cleric is going to cast Blight. And that means everybody in our party has to make a saving throw versus spells, or have the bless essentially negated. So we'll start with green dice is Carrick, yellow dice is Donard. And both of them are okay. Green dice is Sylvia, orange dice is Liz. Liz is okay, Sylvia is not. Green dice is Stephen, and orange dice is Malin. Malin fails, but he's not in combat anyway. So Malin succeeds, Stephen fails. So both Stephen and Sylvia don't have bless anymore. So it's their melee round, and I have got 1 guy on Carrick. Who misses, and I've got a Bugbear on Donard. Who misses. That was their go. Archery. Liz is going to try and take out one of their archers. She hits AC 4 and she does 6 damage. She kills 1. She gets a second shot. She misses with that one. We've got Sylvia, who no longer has bless. She fails with the first shot. She hits with the second shot and she does 5 damage. That guy is still alive. And then we have our melee round. Right. Okay. Can Carrick kill this Iron Ring Reaver? The leader. And Yes, how much damage does he do? He hits with that. He does 9 plus 4 plus 5 plus 1, 15 plus 2 for the bless on each is 17. Yeah. He just, with 2 slices, he removes his sword arm with 1 slice and his head with the other. That was just 15 on that attack. This one does 13 plus 6 is 19. Wow, right. Donard and Stephen are attacking the bugbear. They have not hit him. Donard, well, he makes up for last time's fumbles. He does 10 plus 5 is 15. That takes the bugbear down to 1 HP. Stephen hits and finishes the job. So there are the sleeping goblins, there are 3 archers, and then there is the cleric. Let's do round number 3. It's mutual this time. So let's do the archers each on Donard, misses. Carrick, misses. Stephen, misses. So there is a 4th archer with 1 HP left. He misses Donard. He needs a 17 to hit. We have our archery round. Let's do Liz. And she hits twice and takes out 1 of them. Let's do Sylvia. She misses twice. Right. We have a spells round. Malin's not going to cast anything. Donard is going to cast Hold Person. So each of... There are 3 remaining archers and 1 remaining cleric. Let's see if the 2 archers can make their saving throw. They both fail. They're held. Let's do the 1 remaining archer. He fails. And let's do the cleric, who is a level 5 cleric, and therefore I'll presume he has a +1 wisdom bonus, which means he will have succeeded. They also get a spells round, and the cleric has darkness. I'm going to have to remember what darkness is. Now, darkness is the reverse of a light spell and will cause blindness for 2 hours. If it succeeds, the victim is allowed a saving throw. Now, who will he choose to cast blindness on? He probably won't choose Carrick because he will probably know that dwarves have a good saving throw. He might choose Donard because he is a rival cleric, but then again, Donard will have magic resistance because of his wisdom. So it's a toss-up between Donard and Stephen. Stephen is the green dice, Donard is the orange. Whoever rolls lowest. This priest decides to cast darkness into Donard's eyes. Can Donard make the saving throw? 11 plus his 3 bonus is 14, and I believe he has to roll a 13. Yes, so he just makes it. So it's our melee round. We have double speed. We can easily close in on this cleric and get 1 attack in. 1 of our movement, 1 of our haste turns will be to close distance. And so he has got a rather violent dwarf on him. This cleric has an AC of 4 and 19 hit points. And Carrick hits. He does 12 plus 4 is 16 plus 3 is 19 plus the 2 extra for the bless. And with 1 swipe, That cleric is dead. Okay. Right, let's take a break and we have to deal with the aftermath of this fight. We look at the debris of the dead bodies. It's pretty obvious who is the slave because they are in chains and they are all huddled together. We approach these goblins who are the slavers, and much to our surprise, though not the surprise of Donard, who was cynical anyway, these are the Phas Plak goblins that we released from Zataka. If you remember, they considered themselves to be living in terrible conditions, and as soon as their leaders were killed, they ran off to find their freedom and set up a new little goblin colony. Well, it seems they didn't run far. They ran into the Iron Ring and decided to gang up with them, thinking that maybe without Golthar, old skinny legs, and without Plak, their king, they could do a lot better. It didn't take long for them to turn to treachery, did it? Well, we dispatched them as they sleep with much disappointment and, well, resignation that this is the life of goblins. However, we do have 15 goblin slaves. These are the Red Blade goblins from the Red Blade goblin lair here. These guys have not had much luck in this adventure. Of all the factions that we've met, these ones have always come the worst off. The human slaves want to kill the goblin slaves. Are we going to turn our backs and let them do that? In all consciousness, we really can't. We're here to free slaves, and even though we have been disappointed with these goblins who we freed and they turned back into their old ways rather quickly, these goblins themselves have done nothing wrong. Actually, no, these goblins played a rather large part in the sieges on the homesteads where these slaves have come from. There is a lot of justice to be served here because these human slaves, not only have they been slaved, but they have lost family members due to these goblins. I think we're going to allow justice to be done. Yes, again, we're going to live with frontier justice. We are going to release the human slaves from their chains. We obviously can find the keys on the fallen bodies of the Reavers. And we are going to let the humans take the goblin slaves around the corners. They can arm themselves with the swords, which they can pick up off their fallen captors. It's going to be pretty grim, and Sylvia can cover her ears, and Carrick can shrug and say this is the way of humans, not dwarves, and he can distance himself from that. But yes, indeed, we're going to have to listen to these goblin slaves, all 15 of them, be killed by the human slaves. We aren't going to stop that. These humans want justice, and, well, there is no court here. Right, so with that rather grim episode over, we've got 11 horses and 19 human slaves. When we leave the camp, Loshad is hanging around here. He has been watching from a distance this whole time. These humans want to get back to their homes in these ruined villages. Loshad will let them ride the horses back and he will accompany them. These humans, there are 19 of them. Some of them will have to double up on horseback. They will take whatever rations they can from the camp. They will take whatever weapons, including bows and arrows, from here, and we will part company from them as they make their way back to Iliakana and Silo. We're going to rest up here. The camp is empty. There's a lot of dead bodies to burn. We're going to rest up for the evening in this camp, and we took no damage in that fight, and we dealt a hell of a lot. Feeling pretty good about ourselves, we will leave the party this evening. Maybe something will arrive in the middle of the night as a wandering monster. But we will sort that out next time, so I'll see you then.